The waves may crash upon the shore, but the rock will never yield. Part of me was like, oh, I should just quit. I'm not good enough. You saw the biases change.
People would be like, maybe it wasn't her playing, it was another guy.
It's hard. Yeah, is it good? Well done. Yeah. I think my whole life I wanted to play video games. My mother was a computer teacher growing up, and so I got to play computer games from a pretty young age, and I got to help set up the computers, install the games. That was definitely the start of my gaming experience. When it comes to games, I've just always been competitive. I grew up playing soccer, and I grew up with an older brother who was an athlete as well. So I think seeing him be successful in athletics made me really want to be as successful, and that kind of drove my competitiveness.
Very clearly the MVP.
I was a teacher and a coach. I really just like the process of helping people understand something, teaching, talking it out, coaching, and helping that click with someone else. I find myself always internally teaching. That's like what my inner voice is doing at all times, is always trying to teach someone. I'm very, very much math driven. I love doing puzzles. I love solving things. And it's almost like a game in my head. To solve an equation is a game to me. I don't know why, I'm crazy. But that's why I love teaching math. When I first met my husband, then boyfriend, he did not tell me he was a video gamer. And he didn't know that I was really into video games either. He hid from me for a full year of us living together that he plays video games.
Well, it wasn't always a side of me I necessarily wanted to reveal. Hey, I like to just sit there and play video games for hours. I didn't really think that was an attractive quality.
After a year, he finally was like, hey, do you mind if I go play a game with my friends? And I was like, what? Yeah, but can I play with you? And I think he was really shocked by my answer. I think his idea was that, oh, girlfriends don't like when their boyfriends play video games all day. And I'm like, well, I don't like it if you don't play with me. I want to play with you. He's like, okay, puzzles. What if we try Hearthstone? I was getting really into it, and we were discussing decks and meta and cards that we opened, and we're so excited about opening certain cards. I think that's when he really realized, like, oh, she's not just like kind of into it. She's really into this, and it's something we can talk about.
We started out playing each other in like the classic style of Hearthstone. Then she started climbing and wanted to get more competitive with it.
And that's when he showed me the International on TV and showed me, competitive gamers competing. And I was like, what? I'd never heard of this world. So that was when we really started getting into it. I was diagnosed with Crohn's in 2008. That was the year I went to college. I was really sick the whole first semester. I was going bright red and pale white and in and out of throwing up and laying on the floor feeling dead. My first half a year of having it was really just a whirlwind of challenges. They're trying different medications on me, which caused my liver to fail, and I got jaundice. 6 months I was on and off of walking because of the Crohn's. I thought I was dying because no doctor could help me. I was really scared for my well-being. Back when I was a teacher, I ended up having to quit teaching because the strain of my days caused me to get really ill again. When you have an autoimmune disease, you can't be stressed. Stress will trigger your autoimmune disease. That is one of the first times I really realized, okay, this disease is a lot worse than I expected. I ended up having to leave the teaching field and start doing something on my own. And that's when my husband was like, hey, you should stream.
I was thinking Twitch would be perfect for her because she was good at the game she played, Hearthstone, and she was a great teacher, phenomenal teacher. she could set goals for, to strive to improve. She could see personal progress, all the things I think humans need to be happy on a day-to-day basis.
I always looked at the streaming world as two things. There are the competitive players who aren't very entertaining, but you can go to them for knowledge. And then there's your entertaining streamers who are just pure entertainment. They're not there to teach you the meta or anything like that. And then there's the people who do a good blend of that. So you're gonna be somewhere in this graph. So that's kind of where I always saw myself more over here as this player who is a bit more just on the entertainment side of things. But I would get comments like, I would watch you more if you were better. I took that and I went with it. I was like, all right, I need to study. So I started studying to get better. And with that just came a bit more competitiveness and better ranks, better scores, and the ability to compete. So my first competition was actually an invite to an all-women's tournament, the WSOE 2. I ended up going top 4, which I was so proud of myself, and I was like, oh, I can do this. Like, if I keep working, I can compete.
I remember facing Slysssa in the top 4 of that event, I believe, and being very nervous because she was doing very well in that tournament, and she destroyed me on one of the decks. I can't quite remember anymore, but man, I was biting my nails at that point. As a competitor, she was dead serious. I remember at that event we were allowed to take notes, and she was one of the people that had, the bond paper full of the strategy on like, how do I do my ban pick, what cards has my opponent played already. She understood the game on a level that, not everybody can get to.
So Masters Tour was really hard to get an invitation to. You had to compete in a very large tournament that had like 200 to 350 players. But I had this one weekend available, and I was like, I'll just try one time and see how it goes. And on my first try, I top 2'd with the deck.
In terms of deck preferences, I know that Slysssa has always had a penchant for playing like off-meta decks, things that people don't consider to be high tier, but making it work. There's something to be said for like getting more fun out of playing something that people don't expect. And I would say that was absolutely within her skill set.
One time, I was invited last minute to a tournament. I replaced a very well-liked player, and people did not like that this girl that they had never heard of was replacing their favorite player. And they thought at the time that I was replacing him because of the backlash that the tournament received for not having enough women competitors. When people who don't know me see me show up, they're like, oh, they're just filling in a girl spot. They just need a girl. And then by the end of the tournament, I'm the top point earner of the whole tournament. Oh my days.
Well done. Once again, we've been talking about how Slyssa's been the MVP for her team so far. Slysssa has contributed the vast majority of those points single-handedly, and they now leapfrog all the way from 3rd position into 1st.
You can see the chat kind of change their mind by the end. Not everyone. There's still plenty of people who thought I didn't deserve to be there.
People would be like, maybe it wasn't her playing, it was another guy. Regardless of her gender, she was just a top player.
You could see people like, oh, why wasn't she invited in the first place?
I think Alyssa has impacted the scene in a very positive way, from showing that a female can be competitive at the highest level, also fighting for more female representation. So I think she's done a great job of being an ambassador for girls in gaming from that perspective.
I thought I was getting like pranked when Team Liquid came into the picture. When you see an email show up in your inbox that has from Team Liquid on it, you have to like triple check the email address, right? That says like @teamliquid.com, not like a scam Gmail. Cause I was like, what? I didn't think they'd be ever emailing me. That was a shock, because I've always seen Team Liquid as the pinnacle of esports.
I was like, you've sort of done my dream. I've never been good enough at video games to get to that point, and you have.
I was really so focused on my streaming world that I really forgot about the fact that my husband wanted to grow a family with me. And I was growing the family. I was getting a dog every year. I just kept bringing him home. But he was like, I really want to grow a family. You've gotten to a great spot in your career. I think it's time. I was still a bit hesitant because in the streaming space, the less you're online, the more preoccupied you are, the less you can grow. That opportunity cost when you're offline is a big deal. I wrapped my head around it. I was like, all right, I'm ready. Right now, the way I balance it is just making sure I have like 2 separate parts in my day. I wake up with my daughter. We have a great morning routine of hanging out, playing downstairs, getting her active. And then once I drop her off with the nanny, then work Slysssa comes online, and it's all about my work day. I can focus on it because I know she's in really good hands. And then when I pick her up from her nanny, that's when mommy Slysssa comes back online, and it's all about her again and focusing on her. So it's really about just kind of splitting my time into the 2 separate worlds. So I hope that women know that just if you have a family, your family can be your main focus, but you can also focus still on your old hobbies or your old career or your current career. Like, you don't have to give up everything just to be a mom, or you can. That's good too. I know there's a lot of women who are afraid that if they just be a mom and focus just on their family, that people will criticize them for that. No, you need to do what is best for you and your family. So if that means becoming a full-time mom, then that's great. And if that means being a working mom, that's amazing. Whatever you want to do and whatever works for your family.
I think the way that she's broken barriers is by being so, I don't want to say the word nonchalant, but just kind of doing it all and not really saying, hey, look at me about it. But she was just, doing the work, competing, casting occasionally, and doing her long streaming hours, putting out content on top of, pregnancy, which is, you could say, the most difficult job of them all.
I hope that I can continue to game and I don't age out of it. I feel like a lot of the times people are like, oh, you're getting older. Gaming isn't for you. But I see plenty of guys who are older than me who game and plenty of dads. So I just really hope that I can break that stereotype of like, once you become a mom, once you become a older woman, like you're no longer can pursue these types of things. I know my viewers, there's plenty of them who are in their 40s, 50s, and we just laugh about it all the time. Like, yep, there's no age limit. As long as you have the time, and you enjoy it, why not?
What actually stands out to me is kind of the aggregation of maybe smaller events that she's competed at, because we all know Slysssa is a big streamer, one of the most popular in the Hearthstone community. But she still takes time out of her day every now and then to compete at more grassroots level tournaments, where there might be streamers who are just up and coming, who might get a lot of exposure because they are competing with bigger names like that. And I just find it really admirable that Slysssa gives back to the community in that way.
In the beginning, when I was first streaming, I don't think I was the best at the game by any means. I was just okay, and I had people come in and tell me like, hey, you're not that great at the game. I would watch you if you got better. Part of me was like, oh, I should just quit. Like, I'm not good enough. But I persevered, and I was like, you know what? If I just work at it, I can get there. And I'm glad I did that, because if I didn't, I don't know where I'd be. And then other times when people were just like, oh, you're not good enough. People just watch you because you're a girl, like you're not good at the game. I have to take that and just kind of dust it off and be like, no, I am good at the game. I have to realize that I'm a leaderboard player, and I just need to let those people who have that mindset go away. If you don't believe in yourself, you're not gonna become the best that you can be. You're not gonna hit your potential. You're always gonna have this like self-doubt in the back of your mind. So then you're gonna doubt every decision, and then you're just not going to be the best version. So I think you have to find that competence and realize like, no, this is correct, this is right. We all go through really hard times in life. You can't let that get you down. Get through those hard times so you can get to the happy times so that you can enjoy your life. Don't let what other people think get in your way.
I am the rock on the shore. The waves may crash over me, but they will never move me.